I built this planter with Jeff yesterday over at the Today's Craftsman channel. If you want to see the full build video, I'll have a link to it down in the description below. Actually, Jeff did most of the building and I did the filming. And we are offering free plans for this planter for 3 days only, and I'll have a link to the plans right here. We kind of ran out of time, so I brought the planter back to my shop to add some finishing touches like a chamfer at the bottom, maybe on the outside edges, and maybe on the top of the legs as well. Even though these have a 7-degree bevel on it, I think a chamfer might be kind of difficult to do, but I think will help and also prevents tear out. Once I finish doing all that, a little bit of sanding, and then I'll add some finish. This can be a little tricky, and there might be a better way to do it, but I can't think of it at the moment, so I'll just be careful and go for it. Maybe a little more than that. That looks like a lot, we'll see. That's a pretty good example of one of those little things that I think makes a big difference. This leg looks a lot nicer than this one over here. When I add the chamfer to the sides, I'll put the planter on its side, and I'm going to stop before this gap here. Otherwise, the ball bearing will dive into that gap a little bit and mess up my profile. So I'll stop just a little bit before it and then start a little after it, and then use a sanding block to clean it up. I almost forgot to readjust the bit. That would have been a decent amount to try to take off on the end grain there. So I'm glad I remembered that. Adding nylon domes to the bottom of the legs is a good idea. It'll lift the leg off the ground a little bit and prevent the end grain from sucking up water. For the finish, I'm using Total Boats teak oil. I'll apply it with a brush and then wipe it off with a rag. Just doing the bottom parts first that I won't be able to get to, like the bottom of the legs and the bottom of these rails down here. So the last step is the bottom boards. There's about a 1/4 inch space once you separate them out, and then a little landscape fabric. I'm using 2 pieces, and the soil will hold this in place. And this is going to Jeff's house, so he'll figure out how he wants to do that. But the idea is the fabric will keep the soil from falling out through the sides here and also through the bottom. And that's pretty much it. But I'm going to take this in now because it's windy out and this is just going to blow away. If you want to build this, we do have free plans on the shop until Monday night. After that, you can find them at the website, and I'll have a link to that. But it's a fun build, pretty simple build. I think this design is kind of unique, the way the legs come above it a little bit. It makes it really simple because you can screw the long sides to the leg and then the inside sides to the leg, and super strong and works good. If you've been following me for a while and you want to just see what I've been up to, we can go take a look in the shop, because I know a lot of people have been asking about the sauna that I'm planning to build, or that I'm sort of in the middle of building. And I've got another piece of furniture that, if you're following me on Instagram, you may know that as well. So this is going to be the next build project. These are bedside tables. This is monkey pod veneer, Hawaiian monkey pod. This was a little different, running the veneer, so you have cross grain that creates this sort of a sunburst. I'm going to finish these with a water-based finish, which is a little scary when you're working with veneer, because the water can swell the veneer and you can end up with ripples, and it can be a real problem. I've had that happen to me before, and I'm going to try to avoid that by just using very thin coats, and also sealing the veneer first with shellac. By sealing the veneer with shellac, that'll pop the grain and bring out the beauty of the grain, which water-based finishes don't do. Water-based finishes generally kind of dull the color of wood. So when I'm working with something like that, I really want to show the grain off, I usually will use some type of solvent-based finish like lacquer, a varnish, or in this case, I'm going to use shellac, and then I'll use the water-based finish, and hopefully that'll work. But I'll keep you posted. The insides are getting painted white, so that'll be a little tricky as well. The idea is to seal this up real good, then maybe tape it out and either brush paint it. Actually, I'm probably going to spray it, because when you brush paint it, you can get the paint to kind of pool up in these adjustable shelf pinholes, and that's kind of a drag. There will be a back on here, and that'll be a 1/2 inch plywood that's also painted white. News on the sauna. Number one, I'm planning to use this stuff for insulation, but I'm building the sauna as a kit, so I can take it apart one day and also move it around. There's a chance that I might be switching from oil to gas, which will create more space in my basement where the sauna is going to go, because right now I have a 250 or 275 gallon oil tank in the basement, which is just taking up space. So if I can make it happen with the conversion to gas, that is kind of pushing this project out a little bit. But I have made a little progress, and I'm going to post a video on this because I was just over at Green Street Joinery using their panel saw on Wednesday, because I'm using 24 mil Baltic birch plywood for my stud material. This stuff is heavy, dense stuff. I decided to go with it because it really wasn't that expensive. Each sheet was, I think, $100 and maybe $20. So I'll get quite a few studs out of there, and I'm going to rip the studs to just under 2 inches, which is about the size of that styrofoam insulation. So there's a little bit of an update there, and I'll probably post a separate video next week just kind of showing some more of the ins and outs and how this whole thing's going to come together. This is going to be the type of project that takes a long time, because once it's all said and done and I figure everything out, I probably will make plans for this project, because I think it could be pretty popular. I'm getting a lot of good feedback about it. So here are this is the plywood for the stud material, and over here is all the poplar that I'm using for the interior walls and the ceiling. So that's what's going on. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. That was my son Michael holding the camera, so thanks, Mike, I appreciate it. I did forget to mention that this project video will be on the channel next weekend. The plans are already on my website, so if you're looking for something to build, you can find the plans right here, I think, or maybe right here. I forget how it works with the screen, but you can find plans for this project along with all my other woodworking projects. And again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.